Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, coming at you live to talk about episode 5 of the anime series Shokugeki no Soma, San no Sara, or the Third Plate. And I could never have guessed in a million years where this episode was going to go by the end. They thoroughly pulled the carpet out from under me, expectations wise, with the reveal of Arina's father, who had been outcast from Totsuki Academy and is now making a comeback, throwing a thorough wrench in the works right in the face of his own father, Arina's grandfather, who runs Totsuki Academy, flipping just everything on its ear. And I was gobsmacked by that. And it's interesting because it contrasts with how I was feeling watching the first half of the episode, which was somewhat dissatisfying to me. They were really rapidly trying to wrap up everything to do with the Moon Festival and Soma going up against Kuga. You know, I think it's the second seat of the Elite 10. Rindo comes in and she's kind of pouring salt in the wound of Kuga, who lost on that fourth day. Soma took the win, but, you know, effectively both of these guys are kind of pseudo-losers after all, because, of course, Soma was more pointedly looking at trying to take the earnings for all 5 days and trying to outmatch Kuga for that. So, in a sense, even though he took the win the fourth day in the previous episode, he didn't win overall. You know, that was left to Kuga. But Kuga, you know, he's kind of sort of loser-esque as well, as Rindo puts it, because we finally have an answer as to what that unspoken promise between he and Tsukasa was, what that all had to do with. And it's very much that he and Soma were sort of cut from the same cloth, because when he was in Soma's position, being introduced to the Elite 10, much as Soma would do later on, you know, Kuga had said, anybody on the Elite 10 want a Shokugeki with me? You know, I want a seat on the Elite 10 right now, right here and now. It's exactly what Soma did. And Tsukasa was the only one to take Kuga up on this whole challenge. Subsequently, you know, wiped the floor with Kuga, had his way with him. And so the promise between them was, if Kuga could manage to get the topmost earnings for this 5 whole days of the Moon Festival, they would have another Shokugeki. He'd have another chance at getting at Tsukasa. And so he petered out as well. You know, with Soma's having taken the fourth day, he doesn't get the whole 5 days. Even though he does still get the top spot when everything is tallied in the end, he still doesn't get to have his Shokugeki going up against Tsukasa, much as Soma doesn't get to have his Shokugeki going up against Kuga. And the rapidity with which they wrapped all of that up was just, it was like, whoa, let's slow down, take a breath for a minute here. And so I was a little dissatisfied. I'm like, wow, they're really moving things along here, and I didn't know why. But then when you get to the latter half of the episode, you know, you have Rindo bringing Megumi and Soma around and bringing them directly to Tsukasa's. And I have been talking about that it seems pointedly in the OP and everything that Tsukasa is sort of going to be the main focused challenge for Soma. And that was my impression. That's been my impression all along. Now I have a completely different impression, because when they're tasting Tsukasa's food, even though he is really sort of squirrely and everything, like I've said before, he's really shaken up and nervous and whatever like that, he has utmost elitist confidence in his prepared dishes because he puts the faith in the ingredients. And that's something that Soma could potentially learn from, because everything that Soma has been doing up to this point is signature based. It's his own history with the diner. It's his own flavor, so to speak, no pun intended, that he instills in the dishes. So you know collectively, if you're eating his dishes, he is the chef who mastered it. He is the chef who constructed it and orchestrated it. And so it has his flavor in a sense. Whereas Tsukasa is coming from these, you know, meal preparations without any of that, without instilling any of himself into it, only thoroughly putting in the favor for the flavor, if you will. And so that's something, you know, I think Soma could definitely learn from, but it completely dismantled, in my mind, the fact that it'll be Soma versus Tsukasa at that point. I mean, that could still happen. That still might actually be a thing. With Arina's father being sort of, I think his name is Izami or something like that, being sort of the mastermind, the manipulator behind it. And I can thoroughly get why in the OP you see now Arina's grandfather sort of bowing to Soma at one point, and Arina herself taking Soma's hand as if to be guided or supported by him, because I guess her father swoops in and he's just Mr. Villain. I mean, short of having the mustache that he twirls, he is evil. He's outright just gonna, dismantle everything that Totsuki is. And it's with the favor of 6 seats on the Elite 10. They all have voted for reformation with the way Totsuki has been thus far running. And it's her father's estimation that they have been sort of, allowing the dregs of humanity in, whether that be the clientele or the potential chefs, the culinary artistes that they've been allowing in, and the demand of their own skill sets being what determines their hierarchy on that, the whole calibrated echelons of hierarchy that exists within Totsuki Academy, as far as the most bottom of the barrel, sort of convenience store chefs making you a pizza, to the most elite, which of course being the number 1 seat is a character like Tsukasa. So it's Arina's father's estimation that they need to sort of aim higher, I guess, than the dregs of humanity that they have thus far allowed into Totsuki Academy. And he is backed by 6 members of the Elite 10. And that's frustrating and gobsmacking, kind of like flummoxing, like, where is this gonna go? Like, suddenly it's no longer about Shokugeki's necessarily. I'm sure that'll still come into play, but it's more so about just undermining everything that Totsuki is and has been, and that puts everybody in jeopardy. Everybody who isn't those 6 members of the Elite 10. I'm assuming the members who did not vote for this reform are very much in jeopardy as much as anyone else, anyone who is a student in this academy. And so that was just, like I said, it was blindsiding, it was gobsmacking. I did not see that coming, could never have guessed that we would be introduced to her father, all the while she was pining to be, reintroduced to Soma's father. And then it's Soma's subsequent coming in all happy-go-lucky and oblivious, as he always tends to be, bringing a black pepper bun, try to persuade Arina to let him partake of some of her culinary delights. And it just happens to coincide with her father having made his grand comeback just before the announcement that, we're going to reform this entire academy. And he's putting down all of the clientele, all of these, sort of food critics and people who have put a lot of money into Totsuki Academy and whatever like that. All these really well-to-do, chip-on-their-shoulder a-hole types anyway. And he's an even bigger sort of Molotov cocktail of assholiness, pardon my French, to come in there and be like, these people are cretins, they're bugs, they're vermin. We need to raise above, this garbage and all this stuff. And Soma comes in with his happy-go-lucky affair, and this turns off Arina's father, sort of undermines his walking around with this, just basking in the glow of this self-importance, But then, of course, when he's welcomed then by his own father, Arina's grandfather, and he's like, get out of here, that's when he brings out the Reformation vote. And that's when we get the reveal that it's 6 of the 10. And I think Rindo was one of them, and Tsukasa's one of them, and I don't know the names of the other ones, but everything in Totsuki Academy, everything in this show just got, flipped on its ear. And so it's exciting, it's palpable, it was gobsmacking, it was out of left field as far as I was concerned, And I have no idea where this is going to go from here. I couldn't begin to speculate. And so I'm thoroughly stoked for that. I'm glad at this late stage they could really come up with something that would just be utterly flummoxing to me and ramp up my excitement and that palpability. And have me now on the edge of my seat like, holy crap, I want to see what happens next. Which this show has been able to do time and time again through its first and second seasons already. So it's just, wow. I can't even begin to assume, to theorize where this is going to go, what the next step is going to be as soon as we open the next episode. And that is exciting. I can't wait to find out. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below. For those unfamiliar with the source material, surely this is, taking inspiration directly from the source material. But for those like me who is a complete novice, hasn't read anything of the source material, anything like that, Were you as gobsmacked as I was about this reveal? Were you as blindsided? Are you as excited as I am now in the face of it? For those who knew about it, who saw it coming, who have a familiarity with the source material, is it a good translation? Did they skip anything to get us here at this point? Because as I said, the first half of the episode did feel like they were really rapidly trying to get all that stuff wrapped up between Soma and Kuga and everything like that to make way for this. And so it was a little dissatisfying with the pace of it all. But once this other leg dropped and we had the reveal of Reina's father and what he's come back to do, all of a sudden it was just like gobsmacking and exciting to me. So yeah, whatever your thoughts happen to be, our POVs can thoroughly disagree, just as long as we have a great respectable conversation about anime and shows like this that we love. But I'd love to hear from you what your thoughts are. Love it or hate it, anything goes. And otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Bring on the next one, because I am definitely chomping at the bit to find out what the hell's going to happen next. And until then, I'll catch you all later. Peace.